One of the biggest unanswered questions in history is why the Native Americans were so technologically inferior to the Europeans. But what if they weren't? As in, what if the Indian tribes in the United States actually had better technology than the Europeans? It sounds counterintuitive, but while I was researching this, I found some definite advantages. But let me get the obvious out of the way. The Europeans undoubtedly had major technological leverage over the people they encountered in America. The big one everyone talks about is the wheel. For some reason, some Native American cultures did invent the wheel, but they only used it on these little toys. It could have been pretty useful, but it never took hold. The other big thing is steel, which is made from refining iron ore in blast furnaces. The Europeans had a ton of steel, which they used to make weapons and armor and other products. This was one of the deciding factors in their ability to defeat the Indians. But there are definitely some surprising ways that the Native Americans actually had better technology than the first arrivals from across the Atlantic. For one thing, a bow could actually launch an arrow further than a firearm could shoot. It could also be reloaded much faster and was more accurate. The force of these arrows shocked the first Europeans to see them. Now, they couldn't actually penetrate steel armor, which is a big problem, but it is interesting that they could outperform a rifle, at least at first. The other big advantage the Indians had was their food. The Native Americans mostly grew corn, which yields more grain per acre than similar European crops. The Pilgrims pretty much universally noted how much taller and healthier the Indians were compared to them. Another thing I should mention is the native homes. These Wetu homes were much warmer and drier than their English counterparts. Also, moccasins are way better footwear than the leather boots that first came over. And to finish off, I'm going to mention birch bark canoes, which were much more maneuverable than the small European ships. This one is kind of a wash because the Europeans had their big ships, which were much better than anything the Indians had. So you win some and you lose some. I'm bringing all this up to show that the whole technology situation was a lot more complicated than some people make it seem. It does sort of lead to the question of why the Europeans were so easily and quickly able to defeat the Native Americans. I'm going to get to that in a future episode. I'm going through all of American history in chronological order. This has been day 6 of the entire history of America.